we'll have Rob and Libe from Harmony Capital Advisors.
All right. Thank you, Max. What an exciting afternoon we've had here so far. Amazing turnout. We had energy, we had water. We didn't hear AI yet, but man, AI is going to be a massive call on both those resources. GLP-1s, absolute game changer. We completely agree. My partner, my portfolio manager, actually wants me to buy airlines on that thesis, right? Think about what it could do for everything, right? How many times you've been stuck in that plane seat next to that large individual. So all different things we can get from GLP-1s. But I'm here today to talk about education. Education is interesting. It hits on the social vectors. Thinking macro perspective, you look at the environmental and the social stuff. That's how we think about the world at Harmony Capital. A lot of the environmental stuff, right, requires capital equipment, a capital cost, a lot of major investments. And so higher interest rates made that a challenge even before administration got in there and started monkeying around, right? So we were very focused on social stuff for quite some time and looking at social solutions. So we are an independent specialty boutique. We have 3D Impact as our fund. As an impact fund, we invest in 30 stocks to change the world, either environmental or social solutions. That's it. Yeah, so keep it nice and simple. And we are going after the big money. We're going after the ACWIs of the world, the global benchmarks. This is not a niche strategy. This is to compete with the fully diversified strategies. So we have taken our portfolio, we've divided it into 8 vectors of impact, 4 on environment, 4 on the social, but they nicely also interact with the S&P GICS, so we can build a fully diversified portfolio while still having impact. Looking specifically at education, right? So as impact investors, we believe that solving the world's greatest challenges provides some phenomenal returns. Education, massive problem. In fact, it could be the greatest equalizer, to quote Horace Mann. Did you guys know Horace Mann? I learned about him. He was actually from Massachusetts, father of American education. Very cool. Out of school, 250 million children out of school, 750 million adults who still cannot read. 680 million children are never assessed academically. We have some estimations that the market for education, over $5 trillion, absolutely massive market. So we have a huge problem. We have a lot of people spending money on it. That sounds like an opportunity for an impact investor to get involved. So as I mentioned earlier, Horace Mann, potentially the greatest equalizer. If you look at the UN SDGs, which I stole that last graphic from, number 4, right? Right behind poverty, hunger, health, education, number 4. This is top 4, right, of the priorities for the UN. Not only that, right, we've known about this theme, but things right now, today in our environments, are changing rapidly. I alluded to AI. AI is coming of age right now. Right? We can talk about where it came from and where it's going, but right now we're seeing real-world impact in the stock market. Right? All software companies started taking nosedives a week ago. Bad idea, but I understand the sentiment. I understand what's happening there. Not only do we have AI messing around with how we think about delivering services, but also right now, right, the administration's been a little more challenging. Education used to be viewed as a national good, right? National good is something you had a right to. This is no longer the case. He's pulling money from everything. And so we believe that this is going to create more of a DIY environment, right? Empowering the consumer to go out there and get educated on your own. So as impact investors, we want to make sure that our investments are improving the quality of life, right? They're making everyone have a better experience out there, but we're also trying to beat the market, the stock market, right? And as I mentioned earlier, we're trying to solve this problem of education because, right, there's huge economic rewards for solving really hard problems. And so for us, if we can find a way to get into education and solve that, that could be a really fantastic way to get some returns. So when we think about education, right, we want to think about the landscape. We want to divide it, right, so I can have the analysts go look at their various coverage and get ideas. So a map is very helpful to help think about your process. Degrees, this is colleges, universities. We have a couple of them that are online only, but a lot of brick and mortars that we know and love, right? Even the ones right down the street here are extending their services for the online digital realm. Certificates, right? Coursera's of the world, you name it. I mean, this is a massive category. Some of it's junk, right? Absolutely, some of it's junk. We've had Department of Justice come after some of these for some empty promises, but this is an area where impact investors, hopefully, are using your KPIs and measuring your outcomes. At 3D Impact at Harmony Capital, we have a KPI measuring outcomes for every single company. Not just are they doing the thing or not. Literally, are people getting educated? Are things coming out in the environment, et cetera? And then the third one here, back from my commodity days, I used to call it picks and shovels, right? The tools. So within degrees and certificates, you have amazing institutions providing access, but those companies providing access also need resources to provide that service, right? So you may have heard of a company like 2U. It was stock market darling and absolute zero. I mean, absolutely crashed and burned. They had a lot of weird things going on in there, but it was an example of a company trying to solve that problem. I'm not sure I pronounce it well. Blackbaud, you guys are familiar with that company, right? So that's another one here that's providing some of these accredited universities with software technologies to provide better access. And think about that, right? We've gone through this pandemic. We have this AI threat out there right now. People want to get smart. They want to get degrees. Either it's on a practical basis, so they can literally just do their job better or get a new job, or they literally want a certificate saying, hey, look, I have gone through this rigor. Please help me with my career and get me from employment. So diving into these a little more clearly, I mentioned the major threats and opportunities that are out there right now, right? And so AI, front and center. And you know, this can replace products or it can extend products. There are companies who are trying to fight it. There are companies who are working with it. If we've learned anything since the dawn of time, it's those who embrace technology tend to win, right? And so we're looking for those companies who are embracing AI. I'm going to talk about Duolingo in a minute. It's one of our favorite ideas in the portfolio. They deployed AI kind of rapidly, and the stock got hit really hard for it. Now, I was a little frustrated because they're one of the first to deploy it. If I know anything about AI models, the sooner you deploy it, the better it gets. We'll talk about more of that in a minute. And then again, with Washington doing what it's doing here, policy's been completely inverted. No longer national good. So now we have to go out there and we have to empower the individual, DIY. What this does, right, if you're putting a DIY underneath this, you're now putting a secular tailwind behind education. Because these providers, right, are no longer public education. This is the private market solving this problem. And so that is a growing tailwind. And so if we look at these three areas, the degrees were always low cyclical, right? People always went to college and university. Economics mattered, but not a lot. The economy specifically, sorry. But we destigmatized online education with COVID. Like, I remember growing up, we used to make fun of people who got online degrees. I've, like, taken so many classes now, like, I should go punch young me in the face. Like, that's not cool. Like, we've massively destigmatized this stuff. That is absolutely awesome. That also goes to certificates. Certificates tend to be a lot more cyclical. Let's say, you know, you're doing well, but you got some money in your pocket and you want to get that next job. And so there's certificates, right? They cost you money out of pocket. It's not part of your life plan traditionally, but then it tends to be a little more cyclical. But they're also more secular too now. I went on to Coursera. Oh my gosh, the amount of AI courses they're offering, I've taken like 2 or 3 of them. Just absolutely amazing. And so I would argue that this may be getting a bit more of a cyclical boost as well. Tools, I apologize for cut and paste. I got busted here. That is from the last slide, so ignore that last bullet. What it's supposed to say is that because both degrees and certificates now have a secular tailwind to them, so does the service providers to those companies and industries, right? And so if we're out there doing more online degrees, more online certificates, then the folks who are providing that service, allowing them to provide that service, also has a tailwind to it. And so that can be a really smart way to avoid a lot of the cyclicality. All right, I want to take a second on AI here because, man, it's such a fun, exciting space, but still massively misunderstood. And, you know, so the news came out that ChatGPT 5, have you heard this, can now teach you languages, right? And someone's like, oh, Duolingo, take it to 0. Like, slow down. Like, we could literally build a chair out of Legos, but none of you want to sit in it for an hour. It's not going to be very pretty, and it's going to take a really long time to make it, right? And that's the experience. We've had Google Translate for how long now? It's not teaching anybody, right? Like, it helps you through certain practical matters, but the magic of Duolingo is the customer experience. It's the ding on your trends, right? Like, oh, I gotta get my ding. I don't know if you're going to learn Spanish or not, so we're working on the outcome. We've got to measure those KPIs, make sure we can find a way to actually count that and say, look, you're actually getting smarter. But the competition with AI, it's not a thing, right? In fact, they're using AI, and they got actually dinged for it because when they first deployed the AI model, people said the customer user experience was terrible. CEO came out and said, I am so sorry. What powers AI, because I've taken these Coursera courses, the certificates online, is machine learning, right? And so those neural networks, right, they need data to get better, right? You're giving it data to say, okay, here's the customer experience, it wasn't so great, what did I miss? Okay, I can get better. So the sooner you deploy it, you can get out there, you offer a better product gets more users gets more data gets a better product, you spin around. virtual cycle. Like actually calling it virtual AI or virtual outcome AI, something like that. I just learned it this morning. But man, it makes a lot of sense. And so that is a way for these companies to keep those leads. And so maybe I'm a little nervous on Duolingo because the customer experience was a little bit derailed, but I see nobody in their wake, nobody even close. And they deployed AI first. My guess is they're going to be a winner with AI. And so software products more often, like I said, are more about that customer experience than they are necessarily about the functionality. So we'll see if ChatGPT 5, which is amazing. I use it for stock research. More on that if you want to catch me offline. This is a huge space. There's a lot of names out there that you can traffic in. Here's a sample of them. ChatGPT 5 gave me that in that formatted. I just cut and pasted it right into the presentation. I didn't do a thing. It gave me tickers, it gave me regions, it gave me a focus area. By the way, this exercise, I used to get assigned this, be like, go get us all the publicly traded education companies, would take me a day or two, 15 seconds. So our favorite names right now, as I mentioned, Duolingo and strategic education. Strategic means straighter online. So this is more of the accredited universities. This is more kind of like a core holding. We believe there's a better opportunity out there. I would love more accredited universities. There's not a lot of them out there that are public, right? Harvard doesn't issue stock, at least not yet. We'll see. The Duolingo for us, right? They gamified education. It's a mobile learning platform. It's in your pocket. They're basically trying to say, we're trying to stop you from scrolling, right? And that's actually a really interesting way to go after the problem. And so that's a company that's providing education, but it's also, right? It's using AI to its advantage. And so for us, that's very exciting. So I've sucked all the air out of the room. I apologize. But thank you for listening. I saw a lot of eyeballs following me around, so it means you guys had some fun. I appreciate that. Please check us out on LinkedIn, and we launched to YouTube last week, too, so it's kind of fun out there. Thank you. I'll see you at the Q&A.